What's up, folks? Welcome to another edition of The Loop. Yours truly, DJ CEO. This is a show where we get into the culture, we get deep into the culture, and most of my guests are folks who have contributed to the culture in one way or another. And we've done everything from producers to documentarians, and all those that know me know a huge part of my brand as DJ CEO is style. That's why they call me Style and Performance. So there was no way I wasn't going to incorporate the fashion world, the style world into it. And none better than someone within my familiar circle to reach out to. A friend of mine we met, two years ago, 3 years ago? Three?
How long did Alan mean to be married?
Three? It has to be 3 years.
4.
4? Jesus, time flies. Okay, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, phenomenal stylist, stylist to the stars has been in the industry for a very long time. So I would like to welcome to the show, Mr. Wouri Vice. Wouri, thank you so much for being here.
It's a round of applause. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm glad we were finally able to make this happen.
Finally, it's been a minute. You were in DR for a long time.
4 months and 3 days.
4 months and 3 days. Partly it was definitely circumstantial, but also a decision because you could have left, but you chose to stay. During the pandemic. Let's have all of that stuff. And then unfortunately, during that time, you actually lost your grandmother. So again, I want to send my condolences
That's
to
her
you.
right there.
That's her. Okay. I completely understand that feeling, and also that feeling not to be able to be amongst family, to go through that. Early in the pandemic, I lost my grandmother and my aunt. Mother and daughter, all same side of the family, and and not due to COVID, but just because of COVID, I wasn't able to, go about the process or whatever. But so it's been tough. It's been a tough road during this pandemic. I know off camera we were just talking about how different things are. And we're going to get into that a little later. That's always been a big component of these conversations that I have about how this pandemic has affected what we do in our career and in our chosen professions. But before we get to that, I just kind of wanted to tap in. How are you doing right now?
I'm good. I take life one day at a time. This is a time for self-growth, self-patience, self-reflection. So there's a lot of me going on, a lot of things that I may have neglected in the speed of life before this all happened. I've been taking the time to nurture myself and get myself to a place where I can move forward with whatever life brings my way. I'm reasserting that foundation, filling in the cracks, if you will, to get myself to a place to be better, to be a better version of me. It's necessary at this point in time to do that and be that for myself, because as you see, this year has brought a lot of uncertain changes that we weren't expecting. And it's one of those things where the element of surprise can either overtake you, which can take you under, or it can build character and help you grow. So I'm choosing to grow. And it's a day-by-day process. Some days are good. Some days are like, fuck this shit, I'm tired.
Yeah, nah, I get it.
I do what I got to do and make it.
I think the silver lining, if there's always a silver lining somewhere, but in this pandemic and what you were speaking to, is that we are, the smart ones, the ones that are tuned in, are taking this opportunity to improve themselves, to be better in as many facets as they possibly can to what's going on in their life, from a personal standpoint, to a professional standpoint, spiritual standpoint, all of that. So when we get on the other side of this, we are better, we are stronger, we are smarter, and we're able to really take advantage of what I truly believe, the opportunities and the resurgence of and the respect for that what is authentic. I think over the past, I don't know, how long has Instagram been out? Maybe about 10 years now. I think over the past 10 years, we have been so locked in to facades. We've been so locked into fame. We've been so locked into all of these superficial things. I think there's going to be a resurgence to what's authentic, what's true, whether, talent, character, all of that. And if we are fine tuning, those of us who, that quote unquote real, if we're fine tuning ourselves, then we'll definitely be ready to take advantage for when that time comes.
It's already here. Just know that.
Well, I'm in it.
We're in a space where people want real, but the hard part of this is that I feel like a spiritual portal has opened. A different energy is here. So there's two different people walking the earth right now. There are those who are the real, who are aware, and there are those who are stuck in that former way of life where the past 10 years we've been living in MySpace, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, so on and so forth, TikTok, Snapchat. That is an alternate universe. There are people that actually exist in that place.
Yes.
And they only exist there, but
it's called
don't
Las
exist
Vegas.
in real life.
I
There's
live
that
in it.
too. Well, it's happening here in New York, but the reality is both are walking on the earth at the same time, and both look like real people. But it's not until you get into situations that you can decipher who's who. Yeah. And that is part of the hard part right now, is deciphering who's who and what's what, and realizing how and where to place that energy, place your energy, do the dance that way.
Definitely.
But we're already in it. We're here.
I agree. No, I agree. And it's showing. I can see it in just something as simple as, like in the beginning. So I always tell people this. I've been doing lives on Instagram for over 3 years now. Like I was doing it for 3 years.
Since it became a feature.
Yeah, since it became a feature. And then, the pandemic happened and I knew, okay, this is going to be the new thing. I knew it. It's like, cool. But the one thing I noticed is that all of these, the wannabes DJs, the DJs that we had to like.
Wait, how you gonna call people wannabe DJs?
Because that's what they are. They're wannabes. They're not real DJs. Those who I don't necessarily knock for taking advantage of club owners and club
you saying that people that became DJs during the pandemic?
No. DJs. No, I'm talking about people who wanted to be DJs before the pandemic. That's what I'm talking about, before the pandemic. Because, like I said, I'm not mad at them for taking advantage of club managers and club owners who don't really respect or have love for the craft or culture that we bring. And it's just like, oh, you can bring 200 people, I'll book you, whatever, all that type of stuff. You don't see them going live, right? Because you can't, and even though I'm not looking for DJs in the EDM world, and I don't really follow most of them, but you don't see them going live a lot. And it's because when it's just you and the screen, right? You don't have alcohol, you don't have smoke machines, you don't have confetti, you don't have strobe lights. There's nothing to distract the people from how bad you are, right? So it's the truth. So you have to be good. Like you have to be really good to keep people's attention, whether they're viewing you on their laptop or their phone, for them to just want to stick with you.
Right.
You have to be really good, right? So this is kind of going to your point that we're in it now, is that you're starting to see all those who claim to be this or that. Like when all you have is your talent, if you don't have all the bells and whistles, you're not going to risk being exposed. And that's what's happening now. Right. But enough about me. We're here to talk about you. So let's get into it. So
what we're talking, it's because it's relative.
And no, it's relative. It's relative.
The same thing is happening on this side as well. Like a lot of stores, a stylist is only as good as their resources. shit, we've lost Jeffries, we've lost opening ceremonies, we've lost Barney, we've lost Bergdorf is by appointment only, Neiman's is closed. Like, you actually, if you don't know what you're doing as a stylist.
Yeah, no, you got, everybody is getting exposed. And I love it.
You ain't got no resources, you ain't gonna make it.
I love it. I love it. And that speaks to just the love. And this is what the loop is about. Like the true mission and purpose of why we do what we do and what we do. Like when you love it, you're going to figure out a way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you don't love it, if you're just doing it because it's the new cool hip job or whatever, like the first, couple obstacles are going to be enough for you to walk away.
Right.
But this is when this is your life, this is what you eat and breathe and sleep, you're going to figure out a way. So,
right.
I want to get into how even becoming a stylist or fashion, how this even came to be a part of who you are. Because I just feel like for some of us, I always say God gives us gifts. And when we're able to identify what our gift is, our responsibility is to share it with the world, right? So when did you understand or even have any cognitive awareness that, like fashion and stuff, this is what I love to do?
Well, I've been styling since 2001, April. No, 2002, I'm sorry. 2002, April 2002. This entire journey has been a God-filled journey. I went to North Carolina Central University, the home of the Eagles, where excellence is no accident. And that is where I was studying fashion journalism and then eventually studying design. But at that time, as you know, you went to an HBCU as well, funding wasn't really prevalent for certain programs. And in the design program, that wasn't the focus. We were known for our law school and our business school. That's where the money went. And being from New York and working and wanting to work in fashion, I had to make a decision. And I decided to come home the summer of 2001. And I was working at a real estate agency. I was working at a movie theater shoveling popcorn on the weekend. I was doing what I had to do in order to survive, and also going to school at FIT, taking credits, trying to cross-pollinate and speed up the process on my side back at Central, because it was a thing of this class is only offered this semester, this class is only offered this semester. But if anybody's ever been to an HBCU or attended one, the love will forever be in your heart. So my goal was to get what I needed from these PWIs and bring myself back to Central to graduate. And in the process, I ended up doing an internship at Giorgio Armani that was passed on to me from one of my classmates. He had done it previously, and he was like, I think you should do this. And I was like, well, I wouldn't have to look for a place to stay because I already live in New York. So let's get to the bag, if you will. And came home, I was doing that, working on real estate, going to school, doing the movie job, doing the internship. And while I was doing my internship, 9/11 happened. And there was a huge shift just in the world, as there is right now. And I didn't really know how to move forward. I knew that I didn't want to be a fashion journalist. I knew I didn't have the patience to be a designer. And style was something that always came naturally. I always tell people, when you're in school, whether it's grade school, middle school, high school, or college, the people that you go to school with are actually your network. They are yes. people that you will get to know and have as a part of your team forward. So Alicia Keys and I went to high school together, and her mom was the president of our PTA. And
what high school was this?
She did a professional performing arts school.
Okay.
In Times Square. And her mom was the president of the PTA, and she did an excellent job of keeping in contact with the students. And so it was a really small school. And she just did a really great job in checking in on us. How are you doing? What are you doing? And where are you now? we ended up going to lunch, and I had just prayed a prayer to God to help me to figure out what I needed to do and what he wanted me to do in life. Because it was 21, 22 years old. I'm, you know, there's a lot of things going through your mind of where you want to be. You think you know everything, but you really don't know much.
You don't know nothing.
And I was just trying to find my way, and I prayed to God. I said, please lead me. And I sat down with Alicia's mom. We had lunch. It was fantastic. I was just coming from a field trip with FIT, so I was in a suit. It was a beautiful day outside. And the phone rang, and it was Alicia calling her mom. And she said, hey, if you speak to Wouri, tell him to give me a call. She said, oh, that's funny. He's sitting right here.
Mm.
And she gave me the phone. And Alicia asked me if I would go on tour with her to help handle her wardrobe. She had just done her first leg of her tour, and her stylist put her together, sent her on her way, but she needed help on the road. And I had just said to her mother, I'll do whatever it takes. Like, y'all need me to run a fan club? Like, what's up? I'm tired of where I am. I want to experience it new.
Right.
So for that phone call to come in while I was sitting there, that was literally the power of God shifting my life. And when I came outside, after lunch had ended and we agreed that we would talk and figure things out, it started to rain really, really hard. And I was in a suit and shoes, and I had no umbrella because it wasn't supposed to rain.
Right.
But I just stopped and I just let it rain down on me, and I was like, that's nothing but God's blessing. So I've always been in tune with the signs that have been sent my way. That was definitely a sign, and I never looked back. I haven't worked at a movie theater or real estate at all. And, you know, Alicia really opened a door for me to propel my career, if you will. So, yeah, God was a very big part of how I got here. And the rest is work. It's work and God. You have to put in the work.
You got to put in the work. Work without faith is
put in the work.
Work without faith is dead. Well, I'm sorry.
It.
Faith without works
faith
is dead.
without work.
Right.
Exactly.
Sorry.
So, you know, it's one of those things where there have definitely been tests. There have been many, many trials.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
There have been tribulations, but, you know, through it all, I have built a testimony that is still going. You know, the journey is still going. There are always going to be things to learn and to do, but that is how I got here. So Alicia Keys was my first client. I went on that tour, toured the world, filled up some passports, maybe 3, and that was a humble
flex. It ain't
flex.
bad. No, that was a humble flex, but I ain't mad at it.
It was in those travels though that I started to realize, like, God gave me a gift and I have to use it. So yeah, that was back in 2022.
But you
2002.
But you going to North Carolina Central, which is also the alma mater of Leon Talley.
Andre Leon Talley.
Andre Leon Talley, right. So, but you went there for fashion journalism. So there was clearly a love or interest, at the very least, for fashion prior to. You just was like, I'm just going to do this?
I went, no, I'll tell you the truth. I went to Central because my cousin who graduated and her husband graduated in 74. She graduated in 77. Mm-hmm. And when we would go down south, I would look in her yearbooks. Mm-hmm. And the blackness that was in those books was it was so fascinating to me. Mm-hmm. Okay. Like the afros, the Greekdom, like the camaraderie. It just, something about going into her yearbooks created this whole other world for me. And when I was in high school, obviously a different world was on TV. Like, it just, all that blackness encompassed me. I knew I wanted to do something with fashion. Right. They didn't have the greatest fashion program. So I chose fashion journalism because I knew I could study English and translate that into something later. Gotcha. However, you know, once you get on that good old black campus, life is not the slowest. And so Norton anthologies were not my best friend. And I was like, I can cut and sew faster than I can read this anthology. And then it switched over, and that's how it
Gotcha. So correct me if I'm wrong, you also, what happened when you were at North Carolina Central, you started to design clothes for like your classmates. Is that true?
I did. I used to run the fashion troupe called Bon Vivant Fashion Society, and through that, we needed clothes. Nobody was giving us clothes, so it was a phase where me and Monique,
Yeah.
and Mina, we'd sit in their dorm room and get the hot glue gun and the scissors and the feathers and the crystals and get to work.
Right.
They were my muses in school. Like Mina and Mo were like these colorful cartoon characters that were just full of ideas, and they amongst others helped me to push all of that stuff out.
You know what's funny? Because Amin is a Brooklyn girl, and you're from Harlem. And growing up in New York City, there's always like this. Well, for some, it's a friendly rivalry. For some, during certain times, shit gets real. But Brooklyn and Harlem is always when we've come together have always like shook up the world. Like always. Like you look at Puff and Big. Yeah, you look at Dame and Jay. Like always. I never understood why. Like but more so it's just like, I'm not going up to Harlem. That's way too far. Or I'm not going down to Brooklyn. It's way too far. But we've come together. It's always been something amazing. When is the earliest that you can remember that you had a sense of style?
That my grandmother and my mother. Mm-hmm. My mother has always had her own swagger about her. Mm-hmm. But my grandmother, she had a sewing machine. She always made outfits. There's one picture in particular. She went to an event in the 70s called the Snowball. And that picture specifically is what kind of turned that light on for me.
Okay.
She was dressed literally in all white. It was a white shift dress. At the bottom of the dress, there was a mink trim. And then she had these big mink balls on her ears with a huge afro. Her makeup was white. And I was just like, that's different. Like,
yeah,
what is that? And then as I started going through her archives of photos from when she was, a young tender, she was out. I'm like, where'd you get that outfit? Where did you get that? And she made most of the stuff that she wore. Mm-hmm. And my grandmother was an avid shopper. And that sparked the interest. But by the time I got to high school, you had Biggie Smalls, who by the time I heard him talk about Donna Karan and Versace and Moschino and all these amazing designers, that propelled me to find out where they came from, which led me to the Vogues and Harper's Bazaar and the L's to see what it was. But the reality is, growing up in the inner city, I couldn't afford it, which became the discovery of Century 21, which is where I actually started to hone the craft of sourcing. Because then you had to get fly. So you needed to know that you could go to the Atrium and I would get my DKNY socks from there. But I knew I could catch the t-shirts on sale at Macy's and complete the outfit at Century 21 and maybe get the shorts or the shoes because DKNY had the sneakers back in the day too. So it was a matter of sourcing and putting it all together and how you make it look. Like I remember when I stepped on campus my first day at Central. I'll never forget it. I got a brown cardigan from Dolce & Gabbana. It was tan trim, chocolate brown with tan trim. I had on Sergio Tacchini corduroys and tan hush puppies with a Fendi attaché case. I did not look like anybody else that went to my school.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I knew then that I was different in that way, especially when I would get dressed to go to class and people would gravitate to what I was wearing. And then naturally it's like, well, I can help you too, because you might need it. You know what I mean? So maybe that gift. So
it's so funny because you mentioned about figuring out how to source or resource, how you're gonna put this outfit together because you couldn't afford everything. And I've always said that there is a difference between clearly style and fashion, and also the fact that a brand name isn't going to make you look fly. Like you could look fly out of the bargain basement. Like if you know how to put it together, You
It's
know,
style.
it's
Style and
style.
fashion is different things.
Two different things. And there's a lot of people, I've gotten arguments with friends about this, and they be like, no, it's, and it's like, oh, I've got this and I got that. And it's like, yeah, but you
You
can't
still look whack.
dress. You can't dress.
You still
Like,
look whack.
yeah, being able to dress in style is a huge, and I'll say this, a really good friend of mine, a brother by the name of Gardy, he was my first stylist, and he was the first person to help me identify my style. When I look back, and my mom always says, when I look back, I've always kind of had like a sense of style. I always kind of did things differently, but not in an intentional way. Like I remember there was this movie, the movie Mo Money with Damon and Marlon, and Damon. I was in elementary school when it came out, and when Damon had like the jeans with the button up tucked in and the tie and the hat, and I was like, yo, this is the bottle cap hat. And I was like, this is cool, because I had never seen anybody dressed like that. So like that,
Right.
I think within like that next month or so, like my mom had took me shopping. I was like, this is what I want, and I did it. And then she tells me this, I don't remember this. She said like literally like 2 weeks later, like 5 other kids, started dressing like that. And I was like, and I never once intentionally or even paid attention to the fact that maybe I influenced them because I was influenced by this person or whatever. But
well, that's what style does. Style is influence because it's a part of personality.
Right.
So if someone's attracted to something inside of them on the outside, that's how they're expressing. You know what I mean? I've purchased several hats like the one you have on. I can't pull any of them off.
Yeah,
I'm a dad hat.
I have a hat head, which is a plus. I learned I have a hat head.
I just don't think they look right on me.
Right.
It's great on you.
And thank you. Well, first, yes, please. I mean, what? This is this show, so I'm only from here up for the show. But thus far, like to rate this, what is this?
It's good. This because it's you. It's a 10 because it's you.
Thank you.
You're comfortable. There's swagger in it. You know what I mean? Like, and that ultimately is what style is. That is the difference between fashion. We could sit here and say, oh, that's a Versace shirt you got on. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a Fendi hat you got on. Okay, and then what? Then what happened? It's like, right. But the combination of it, you put yourself together, so it's cool.
How do you? What is your process with styling? Like, because clearly styling for somebody else, now your job is to kind of represent their personality and who they are and how they look. Do you? Because I have a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, Sky Zoo, who I've had on the show. Who he writes for a lot of people. And when he writes, before he writes, he sits down and he has like conversations with people, like long conversations to figure out who they are so he can write in their voice. What is your process going into like styling for some of the people that you've worked with?
My approach is similar. I style people from the inside out. I have had moments where I try to create looks and put people in these fantasy garments of what I think they should be wearing and this, that, and the third. And the reality is, what, like I said, you're comfortable in what you're wearing. So it begins there for me, because if someone's uncomfortable in their garments and their clothes, it's gonna translate. They're gonna see. They're either gonna be fidgeting or doing the most, and then you're not gonna get a great outcome. But when someone feels good from the inside about how they look on the outside, they're gonna shine all night. And I think that's the thing that I've embodied with all of my clients across the board. It's from here, and then we work on what that is. What are the things you're most comfortable with? What are the things that you would like to highlight? We take those things and we accent and we build on them, and then go from there.
I've worked with a couple of stylists throughout my career. When I was doing the United States Hip Hop show on Fuse TV, had a young lady, and it always seemed like I'm working with Haitians too. Haitians got a sense of style that's very unique though, which is true. Like anybody would say, especially when you deal with the Caribbean communities, like Haitians, they dress different than everybody else. And but
well, that's the Caribbean in general.
In general. But it just seems like I'm always working with Haitians. I don't know why. nothing but love, but it seems like I'm always working with them. And it seems as though when it comes to styling, right? And the reason why I asked you that question is that, so like Gardy helped me identify my style, because prior to that, I thought I was doing something and I wasn't. And it was more about fashion. When I first started incorporating style into my whole like DJ brand, I was wearing suits, but the suits weren't tailored. They didn't fit. I had bad room in the neck, whatever. And I thought I was doing something, but at that time,
You were still leaving the tag on your cup?
probably. I probably didn't even split the back. The back was probably still sewed up. but
Jeez.
but I did it. But the thing is, the reason why I was able to do it and for it to work is because at that time, as far as DJs were concerned, it's particularly in the urban market, nobody was dressing like that. And nobody knew how to dress. So it's not like anybody could check me. It's not like somebody could go, oh, you shouldn't wear your suit. Like nobody was doing it. And this was back in like 07, like 05, 06, 07, around that time. And then my friend Gardy, he pulled me to the side. He's like, yo, let me take you shopping. Cause that's what he did. Like he did styling on the side, image consulting is what he did. And so he pulled me to the side and he was like, bruh, like this is what you're slim. I was much slimmer. I was super skinny at the time. He was like, this is what you need to be wearing. So he took me to Zara. And Zara just blew my mind. Like I didn't know the store exists. I didn't know, and and I was like, oh, like what? And then from there, I just kind of like ran with it. And to what you said earlier is kind of about being comfortable. When you come from where we come from, especially as a Black man, a lot of times it's kind of like you shy away from wearing certain things because you feel like, oh, they're gonna look at you a certain way, or da 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 da. And then I just got to a certain, I was like, yo, this shit fire. I'm wearing it, and and now I'm comfortable with prints and colors and all this type of stuff. And I think even for one person to develop a style, it takes some maturation. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, we're not all, well, some people are. I was gonna say we're not all born with style, but no, it takes a certain level of confidence to grow, which was one of the things that I loved about the 90s, even though there was a sort of staple in the way that we dressed, as far as the silhouette, bagginess, this and that, but we were able to take chances. We had people that were like, for me, I had Heavy D to look at. I had, because I've always been a big guy, so I had Heavy D. I had, Big E to look at. I had even Big Pun in his sweatsuits and things, like Fat Joe. Like there was still a certain style that went to the way that men carried themselves, But then you take the boldness of somebody like a Kwame and polka dots, and you add that in with a little bit of, CNC Music Factory patent leather with the silver steel toe brooch top. Is like, you take little pieces of things and you add them together and you create what is your catalog. Artists create music. I created my own, I would take a chance. I was a kid in high school. If I was wearing red, black, and green for the day, then I had on a red sock and a green sock. I changed out my shoelaces. Like that was just me. Like there was always something fun to do. Like even Punky Brewster was an element of style for me. Looking back, the Dwayne Waynes of the world, they were influential in style. You look at the Moeshas of the world, influential in style. Like it's always been there. Even Pam Grier, or the vividness of reading the Iceberg Slim book, you could see through the pages how he looked. And not to mention we grew up in the bad boy era, so you have people like Nisa Hilton who were creating looks that were forever iconic for taking a chance. Like we got to see the girls in the tennis skirts and the combat boots and the Jodeci's and the rain suits, so Columbia rain suits were like, that's game changer for me. Like I specifically remember the Mary J. Blige Be Happy video, the silver bubble coat and the silver boots. And I had to find that metallic silver fabric. Like I needed that silver thing, and then all the videos had that glossy Hype Williams effect on it. So I tell people the difference between now and then is that people are rapping about an experience now, where the rappers we grew up with were creating a lifestyle. You wanted to live the way they were rapping.
You wanted so bad. I remember I remember seeing the Freaking You video and
Right.
and then going to Vim's, going to VIM and searching, because I clearly didn't know what brand it was, but I was like, I need those, whatever those boots, I need something that looks like them.
Right.
And Fila at the time was doing combat boots.
Right.
And I went out and I bought a pair of Fila combat boots, and I wore them exactly the way they wore them in that video.
And that is
the coolest
what style does. Style transcends character, and it will help to build emotion. So even, you know, working with HER, when we first started working together, her whole thing was sweatsuits. So I had to find a way to make the sweatsuit hot. Like, how do I show her character that you're not going to gray sweatsuits and black sweatsuits every day? Like, how do you bring that out of the person until they find other things? You know, recently she just posted a picture of herself in a dress. She's finding her way in that. You know what I mean? So that when someone's style develops and they become accustomed to their niche or their tactile, then it becomes that thing, and they get to where they gotta go.
Yeah, I low key have a crush on HER, but don't tell my wife. Don't tell her.
You just told her yourself. So.
Don't tell her. But I think she's dope, and just how she carries herself, and that she is very unique and different from a lot of the female artists out. She is sexy without being overtly provocative.
Slutty.
Yeah,
you can say it.
Yeah, slutty. Yeah. She's you can tell, this. There's always certain.
But you know that there's a thing for everybody, because I don't even want to say that and then that turns into something else. Like, certain people's images are super sexual.
Yes.
I personally believe that she's not. To me, she's not sexual. She's sensual. Sade is sensual.
Yeah. There you go.
You know what I mean? Beyonce is sexual. There's a different.
Agreed.
Different element.
Agreed. Plus,
because I personally wouldn't want to see HER in the bikini panty. That's not. It's two different things.
Yeah, nah. It doesn't. And plus,
it's like when you get dressed in the morning and you have two different blacks on.
You gotta go back in. This looks a little faded. I need to go back. Yeah, no. And plus, I mean, the fact I'm a sucker for any woman that can play an instrument. So that's a whole nother
she plays
thing.
5.
Yeah, so, well, hence my crush. But yeah, no. So you mentioned briefly about like just hip hop in its evolution in style. What would you say are like your favorite decades or time periods of style? And I wouldn't even say decades, because it's so funny. Like, if you look from the 90s, like from 90 to 95 is way different than 95 to 99, right? Mm-hmm. So what are some of your favorite, I guess, periods in hip hop for fashion?
Oh, hip hop.
Yeah, and hip hop specifically.
Because I'm like, for me, I would say my favorite hip hop fashion moments would be 81 to 84.
Okay.
Grandmaster Flash was amazing.
Okay.
Melly Mel, amazing. All those rat tails and furs and tight jeans and shingles, and he definitely is a fashion icon. And then I would say it is very 94 to 99. That is a whole movement. Okay. That is a jam. That whole Bad Boy Junior Mafia. Like I said, it was a lifestyle. That was the way we were emulating what, we wanted to be Puff in the club, in the jacuzzi.
So bad.
Giving the good. If you wasn't like this.
And you had to have the glass with
the drink. Like, you needed to.
Yeah.
It was a lifestyle. You know what I mean? And it was so effortlessly done that you believe that you could achieve it too. You know what I mean? So, Yeah, that was my jam. That was my jam. It covered so much. There was so much originality. Like, even in that time period, just looking at people like Busta Rhymes and eventually Missy Elliott, and
Mm-hmm.
like there's a lot of variance in that time frame when it comes to hip hop. Because you also had the Conscious Brothers and Sisters too. So we definitely had a little bit of the Jungle Brothers and the
A lot,
De La
of
Souls and
earth tones and
that De La look coupled with a little bit of the Busta Rhymes when he was with Leaders of the New School. That's a little bit earlier, but
that's early.
that's early '90s. But that rugby, baggy jean, guest boot phase,
the low
that
life
affected the whole '90s. So that for us was our day to day. But if we was getting jiggy per se or getting fresh, it was definitely that bad boy esque look. There was something that had a gaudiness to it. It was ghetto fabulous.
It was ghetto fabulous. It was the epitome of ghetto fabulous, the foundation of ghetto fabulous. You mentioned Grandmaster Flash and Melly Mel and the Furious Five, and their influences are so funny. There was a documentary, I can't remember the name of it, not too long ago, that talked about fashion and hip hop and its evolution, and the fact that a lot of those early hip hop groups, particularly like Grandmaster Master and the Furious Five, their influence was Parliament Funkadelic, right?
Mm-hmm. That's why I was like,
was the Princes. It's because they for them, their idols, the people they looked up to, were these rock stars, and rock stars dressed in such a eccentric and in a very like broad manner. Like that's what they copied, and they really they actually weren't fans of Run DMC and how they dressed, because they felt like, you guys are now looking like the regular dudes on the block, and we're supposed to be rock stars. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting how even like people from the same places, the same areas, can view fashion and style, and how we should be, embracing it and carrying it. How, and you can speak to this, because I definitely wouldn't know. I know ironically, all the stylists that I know personally are Black. But in the industry, like, what is the representation like for people of color as far as stylists are concerned? Yeah. Okay.
Well, no. The reality is, styling is a broad spectrum. So there's commercial styling, there's advertising, there's editorial, there's celebrity, there's e-commerce. There are many different layers of where styling is. I would like to say that the majority of stylists of color land between editorial and celebrity.
Okay.
And we've kind of been pigeonholed to just be in that place, because those other worlds, up until now, with the voices that have been pushing forward, it's kind of been a thing where, DJ CEO needs a stylist, he's Black, let's get him somebody Black. That was a thing for a while. They're forcing their way into our space now. So things are changing. Hopefully they'll continue to change, because there's a lot of work that has to be done. We're not as represented as we could be, but the work that we do is substantial. Like we said, there's the Misas of the world. Serena Akers shook everybody up with Black is King. June Ambrose and the work that she's done with Missy Elliott. And, there's so many different layers to the work that we do, so many different things that you see. ID Magazine right now, one of their head stylists is African American, not African American, but a person of color. I don't know. It's just we're forging our way. In the high fashion world, there's always been Patty Wilson, but there was always just Patty Wilson.
Right.
Right. So, we get there, and sometimes we crack a little bit of a door here, a little bit of a door there. But I feel like right now, because of social media and the voices that we have as Blacks in fashion, the doors are being kicked in. I.e. Dapper Dan and the whole Gucci situation. Gucci comes out with a jacket that looks exactly like that. So like Twitter goes crazy and we make sure that you know it. Like you did
Right.
not come up with that. Give that man his credit.
Which is
So with those type of
often the case though.
situations, yeah, but with social media being used in that way,
Mhm.
it's been able to push us to a different platform and give us the voice that to be heard. Basically, you know,
Yeah.
now our representation does matter.
Because the stylists, to be honest, like I said, the stylists I know and good friends of mine, I know Ty Turner from my days at BET,
Okay.
Kendall Marie, we both went to Howard together.
Okay.
And I said, Melissa, I can't remember Melissa's last name, the Haitian sister I was talking about before. I'm not sure where she's at, what she's doing now. And then you. And then you are the only male stylist that I know that is like in the industry. Like the only male, most of the stylists that I know are women.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's a arena that I have such an appreciation for because of what you're able to do and convey and like how you're able to put these ideas and have your client, you know, embody this idea. What are some, I know, like you said, like you kind of style from the inside out, but I'm sure you also bring outside inspiration. Like there are things that strike you and you go like, you know, I would like to see you try this. I would like to see you try that. Where do you get your inspirations from?
Everywhere. I it could be from something that I've watched on TV. It could be, you know, it literally comes from everywhere. I can see people walk down the street, certain things inspire me. I love documentaries. I love biopics, and it can be just the time period. It can be a person's attitude. It can be, you know, it literally anything can inspire them. It just depends. Right now, I'm in a hella 90s phase with Moesha.
Okay. You took, well, yo, every day.
There's certain things that are happening, like with her wardrobe, specifically in the first 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, ooh, that is so good. Like,
Shireen watches Moesha
like,
every day. Every day.
No, well, tell her she's my kindred spirit because to drop, like I'm literally finishing out season 6 right now.
I think, if that's the one where Ray J was on it.
Yeah.
No, that's what she's on right now. Like literally, I left her on the couch last night to go to sleep, and she was watching, and I was like, "Yo, seriously?" And like she loves it. And to be honest, growing up, I didn't like I watched the show, but it wasn't like one of my like, "Yo, I gotta go watch Moesha." But watching it now with her, I realized how influential and how important that show was.
Well, you realize also we grew up with Moesha, so the first 3 seasons we did watch because we were still in high school. But when Moesha left for college, so did we stopped watching. So seasons 4, 5, and 6 are like brand new to me. So I don't remember it because I was in college. I wasn't watching that show.
Yeah, because I didn't remember Ray J being on it at all.
I have my own. I actually would love to talk to her because I have my own ideas and thoughts of how things are playing out. Because when the show first starts, it's very, very black. Like we're talking about Beethoven being black. We're talking Maya Angelou is coming on the show. We're talking about the Harlem Renaissance because Moesha wanted to be a writer. Like there's a lot of black history that takes place in the show, and something shifts in season 5 where we now have villainized the black father who's this picture perfect Kappa. He's got the wife passes away, he gets a new stepmom, family's good, he's tough on his daughter, he makes sure his son does what he has to do. And then we get to this place where Ray J, the son, shows up, but nobody knew Frank had another child. We didn't know that he had this extramarital affair, and it's this thing that literally tears the family apart. And I'm like, why did we ever go there?
Why do we need that?
We didn't need that.
Well,
and it literally changes the scope. Like now there are white people on the show. It goes to a different place.
You guys, well, she would love to have that conversation with you. So I'll just tell her to reach out to you and you guys can talk about it because she watches it every day since it's dropped on Netflix religiously. You being a stylist and being from Harlem had to have such a major impact on your sense of fashion. I always tell people there's no place like Harlem. You go to Harlem on a Monday or Friday or Sunday, and people are gonna be dressed to the nines, always. What was it like growing up in Harlem and just witnessing all that, and especially come from Black people carrying themselves in that way, especially during the time you're talking about the 80s and that where I mean, even though we're still being villainized, but like it was a different type of
I have to tell
villainization.
you, and I know this may sound crazy, but the Get Money boys and the Get Money girls of the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
early 90s are literally like fashion icons. The
That makes
custom
sense.
outfits they were wearing, the Dapper Dan, but just the way that they did it was just so fly, down to the way that they drove their cars.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also that inspiration of the 70s, and you know, he's a rat, but Nicky Barnes, like
Mm-hmm.
that whole his style, there's a certain flamboyancy about the way people in Harlem dress,
Yes.
but it's worn with such confidence that it's just like, how did you even just do that? Like, it's such a thing, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of individuality. Like, we'll take a trend and then each person will turn it into their own thing.
Yeah.
And for me, it's so much fun to just watch that thing turn into something. Like, there might be a specific sneaker, and if you got your hands on that sneaker and the way that you might rock it, it's like, it's a whole different, it's I don't know how to explain it. I guess because it's a part of my DNA, but you know, even down to the way that people just wear their clothes, a certain way that your shirt would hang, your jeans would hang, a certain way that you might tuck your jean inside of it. That was a big thing for me when I was styling Alicia Keys. Like, whenever she put on jeans, we had to put a cuff in the jeans. Like, it had to be a cuff because that was our thing. You know,
Right.
so, you know, it's there. The influence is there. And I think everybody in Harlem just has a certain swagger. It's different now, though. Like, kids dress differently. I feel like we're coming back to the essence of individuality. Right?
Which is something that's sorely
We
missed.
got stuck for a moment.
Yeah, I think Harlem, I think the Harlem that you're speaking of and that we both are very familiar with, I think is very much of a carryover from the Harlem Renaissance. You know, that DNA, that kind of culture and character and how Black folks should be carrying themselves, even as fashion and style evolved. It was always about like, you need to look good because, you know, if you look good, you feel good, right?
Right.
So that's part of it. But the individuality part is super important. And I agree. It's been so, and we talked about it. I don't know. I think we talked about it off camera. I'm not sure if we talked about it on camera, but just the idea of like, you know, this people have been living in this alternate reality, which is social media, right? And all they do is just carbon copy each other. They copy, you know, look the same makeup, the same, you know, fashion over outfits, the same this, the same that. And I remember growing up, and as dumb as it sounds when I say it now as an adult, but I just remember like being pissed, like if you told your friend, like, oh, I'm about to cop these kicks. And then you see your friend with the same kicks, and it's like, bruh, like I just told you I was gonna get these. Like, why would you get the same, you know? And it sounds stupid because it didn't make one pair of sneakers. Like, everybody's gonna have these sneakers, but it was so important for you to stand out and just like, no, this is my look. You know, this is my look.
That's a New York thing.
Is it though?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Brooklyn, y'all had your own thing too. Like, nobody will wear Guess like Brooklyn. Lord have mercy. The Guess boots with the Guess jeans, like it was a certain type of baggy, even if you did the jumper, but you know,
I had a mustard yellow.
See what I mean?
No, it's not yellow. Mustard, it was a mustard brown Guess jumper that my aunt got me. Man, I love that jumper. Whew.
Yeah, and it's a certain way that we did it, you know. Mm-hmm. So for Brooklyn, it was the t-shirts. You had to have the whole set. So you had the jeans and the jean jacket and the boots to match with a t-shirt. We were very rugby's, oversized. The Bronx, they did their thing and kind of fell into that. Bronx and Harlem sometimes got together with that. And, you know, Queens had their own thing, lots of hats. lots of track suits, you know, very
Oh,
LL. LL was their
yeah.
staple, but you know, Queens boys and girls were really the first ones to have cars out of all the five boroughs.
Because you needed them.
So
They lived in two fair
right,
zones.
right. So they was already on some other. They was
Right.
getting jewelry. They was very Coliseum, so they were in the fronts, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that trickled over Linden Boulevard into Brooklyn, and that became a thing. You get Staten Island, and they just created their own whatever we could get our hands on and just baggy it out and make it fly, tying
Right.
the bandanas around the hair, and you get the ODB that mixes in with that. So it's a lot of different ways that we influence each other. You can just take the train and see hella style.
Yeah. Oh, the train
And I
is the
think that,
most
you know, the
stylish place in New York
maturation
City.
of that, I think the maturation of that was Sex in the City. Once that
Okay.
grew up, and
Mm-hmm.
then Sex in the City became a thing, and
Right.
we were the influence for that style already.
Already. Right.
You know what I mean? So it was like, oh, so we could take this and do it like this. So you mean I could wear my nameplate necklace? And girls really got fly and got in that moment.
See, so what you're talking about now is super important to me. And I tell this to people all the time as I've kind of developed and gotten an understanding of style in general, right? The importance of accessorizing. I feel like after a certain point, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like after a certain point, you shouldn't necessarily be shopping for outfits anymore, right? Meaning, no, seriously, meaning like
You give people a hard time. Oh my God.
me? Oh no, I'm. Oh yeah. Well, we don't get to talk that much, so no, I'm a super critic, and I just tell it how it is. But I just feel like at a certain point, you shouldn't be shopping for outfits as much as you did when you were building out your wardrobe, and at a certain point, it just becomes
Well, do people shop for
accessories.
outfits?
When I say outfits, I don't mean like. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe they do. But what I'm saying is that like you should clearly you should have staples, right? If you have suits, you should have a black suit, a blue suit, and then maybe if you do like maroon.
The funny thing is, a lot of people don't, and that's how they end up shopping for outfits.
Okay.
So as a person that's into fashion, yes, you might go out and say, hey, I need a blue suit, I need and now you're at a place where you can take that and go with it. Get a red suit because it might go with, a certain shoe that you have and things of that nature. But the average person, just so you know, is not in that space.
But okay, so maybe all right.
The average person is not in that space. And
Maybe
that's
I'm
something
projecting.
that I have to constantly remind myself of in doing the work, is that what I'm doing and how I go out and I shop for pieces. And then eventually I come back to my closet.
Right.
But that's because you have a closet though. Everybody ain't got a closet. Everybody ain't got that. No.
Because it's all about pieces. But here's the problem. But I'm gonna say about me. Here's my issue, right? And maybe there should be like I don't know, like the stylist or a fashion version of like AA for me, right? My issue now is that I no longer shop for basic pieces, right? And here's the problem, right?
You shouldn't though. If you're in fashion, why would you?
No, but here's the thing. Because my budget isn't. My budget isn't a lot.
Anyone that loves fashion, unless they're really rich, their budget will never match their love for fashion.
Because here's the thing, right?
Because you can't justify $1,000 sneakers. You can't justify $2,000 pumps. I'm working it, and I know what the truth is. The reality is the budget will never ever match, especially when you see the flip side of the wholesale game.
Mm-hmm.
We could talk about that off camera, but that's a whole, when you really see how much it costs to make something. That's why I have a very difficult time when, certain sneakers go to resale, because like the Ben & Jerry Dunks that just came out, I love them, but I was pissed because I couldn't catch them when they came out. $100 shoe is now marked up to $2,500. That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't at all. But the thing is, when you almost like when you become a slave to your passion, you find reasons to justify stuff that doesn't make any sense. And
no,
like
you
I said,
find reasons.
We all do. We all do. I'm not projecting. We all do. I'm looking at my closet now off camera, and I'm looking at it, and it's like, because we were talking about accessories, right? And I feel like accessories are super important. Like accessories can change an entire outfit, and it's like some
what
days
you have on would not be the same if you didn't have those chains on.
Exactly, right? It wouldn't be the same, right? But sometimes, like, yo, I just want to wear I should just wear like this blue shirt or just a red shirt or what. And I'm just like, I don't have many, if any, just one. Everything is a print, everything is a pattern. And that's because it's a part of who I am. I feel it represents who I am in style. And it's like, I had to tell myself, like, you need to stop buying these statement pieces and just start buying like basic things that you can dress up. Right? Because I feel like that's a part of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what, and I guess that's what I was getting at, is that I don't have, it's been years since I've just bought like a basic piece that I could dress up. I think the last basic piece, and it's not really that basic because of the color. And this was my wedding. At my wedding, my wedding was this wine, is a wine colored suit, right? And it's a tux, and it's basic, necessary, and cut, but it's wine. Like that's not.
But that's you.
It is.
That's your style.
It is, but I don't even have and I'll be honest with you, and this might shock you. I don't even have a regular black suit. Like all my black suits are tuxes. I just bought one. Are tuxes.
I just bought a regular black suit. But here's the thing. It didn't even make a difference to me because I don't even wear a suit the traditional way anyway. I hate ties. So 9 times out of 10 when I put on a suit, I'm putting on a t-shirt with it anyway. So again, it's your own personal style. It's how you flow. When we were in Mina and Daryl's wedding, that was probably the most dreaded day of my life. They laugh at me to this day.
Why? Because you had to wear a tie?
That and the way that suit fit me was so disgusting. And then on top of that was like a navy blue suit, and we were wearing bow ties, and I was just like,
no, I wasn't happy with how my suit fit me at all. And I went to the place to get tailored, and I got the suit, and I was like, this is not at all what I no, why am I wearing this? And then I was super pissed that he had us all wear sneakers and he bust out Ferragamos, and I'm like, bruh, like, I get it, it's your day.
Don't be mad at him. Don't be mad at him.
I'm mad at you. I was like, bro, you got Ferragamos? We out here in Stan Smiths? Like, I mean, I love Stan Smiths, but like, come on, man.
That was me. I wanted him to feel special, and I also wanted to be comfortable. That was my influence. That was my fault. So let me go ahead. Look, 4 years later.
Own up to it now.
I'm sorry.
Own up to it now.
That was me.
Own up to it now.
That was me.
You've been fortunate enough. You've been blessed to style a litany of who's who in the industry.
That's a good one, a litany.
A litany of who's who. I went to school for journalism. That's what my degree's in. So I'm good with words.
I stopped reading the Norton anthology.
I'm good with words. That's what I'm good at. Who are some of your favorite people to style, and why?
Oh, they're all different and special in their own way. At the time, Alicia Keys was my spirit animal. If I were a girl, she dressed the way that I would dress.
Okay.
Taraji was just an amazing person. Carrie, amazing. But I don't know. I can't really pinpoint it. They were all just really dope individuals. And at that time, when we were working together, I learned something from each one of them. So.
And how does that work? Do you get? Because you style for HER now, like, but you're with her, like you go with her, you're on tour, you do the award shows and all that type of stuff. But I'm sure for every client it's not the same. For some, you might just be called in to do a particular look for a show or a video shoot. Like, how do you get these relationships become established, and how does that work in relationship? What determines what that relationship is going to be?
Well, I have representation. People usually reach out, or they reach out to me, but it's the connection. Like Andra Day that's my heart. I love her. She's somebody I actually feel like is sent to me from God. Again, I was in a praying space, and she showed up and prayed with me. So she forever holds a place in my heart. And then she's a Capricorn, like I'm a Capricorn, so we understand each other on a different vibration. We get together creatively. So that in itself is just a beautiful thing. I love her. Make sure you keep that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I feel like my artists that I work with are a reflection of who I am and where I am now. Like even working with HER in her journey, it's beautiful to watch her grow. I've known her since she was like 12. We have amazing conversations about growth, and it's great to see her growing and I'm growing at the same time, and we compare notes and have conversations. You know, it's easy when you work with dope people. It doesn't feel like work. So right now, yes, I have my two girls. I love them both dearly. But we, you know, it's work. We get the work done, but the individual relationships are there, and we just flow off of that. And it's a lot of like what's happening in life now. Like there was a moment with Andrew Day. She was doing a run with Common for the song that they have recorded together. And we had just come off the whole Ferguson situation, and she made it a point that at all of these events that we were doing for the Hollywood Reporter and this and that and Global Citizens, one of the songs that she would perform was Strange Fruit. And obviously we're being lynched in a different way right now. And so she made sure that I took a pair of handcuffs. We had two pairs. One pair were black, the other pair was silver. And those were her bracelets. You know what I mean? So it's all relative to what's happening and how it's happening.
The bracelets are the handcuffs as bracelets.
Yeah, if you go back and look at the
statement.
footage from that time, it's something so subtle, but it's there.
And I think that's important too, because I can only imagine that if you are a Black artist, or if you're a human in general with a heart and a conscience and love for all people, that you care and you pay attention to these things, but particularly Black artists, you have to figure out a way. For some, you have to be conscious of your career, but you will never sacrifice your love for your people, right? So you want to be able to make statements that get the message out, but don't necessarily come across as flagrant, right? And so that's a subtle thing that you kind of have to figure out. And I think handcuffs as a bracelet is amazing. One of my friends, Kirby Pye Moss, he like I remember when he did his
he just had Angela Davis on the cover of Vanity Fair.
Yeah, and he did it was a couple years, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. He did a show, and it was all pretty much like a Black Lives Matter theme. I think he had like the names or like the faces. I know he had I think like he had Lena Waithe wearing something that you know, I think it's important. I think it's important that we as Black folks in this industry use our platforms to speak about injustices or speak about things that are affecting us, because unfortunately a lot of times our colleagues, you know, our white brothers and sisters or just non-Black folks in our industries don't speak up for us. You know, there's some that are, but there's some that don't. And I think it's important that we use our platform to kind of speak out and address the issues the best way that we can, you know, with whatever our tools are.
Right.
You know, because I do it as a DJ. I just recently I think this past Tuesday last week. It was last week, Tuesday. I did a set which is called Black and Proud. And I did all Black empowerment, Black love, Black unity songs. That's all I did.
Did you turn that into a playlist?
So here's the thing. No,
Yes,
listen.
No, did you turn it into a playlist?
I did not. So listen, when I first started doing live.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to just say this to you, so you did a set back in August of 2019 in Harlem, August 3rd.
Yeah. No, August. It was August 12th. 11th or 12th.
No, that was the following week. I listen to it all the time.
Okay. I don't know. You have to tell me what it is.
Daryl sent me the link, and I was like, it took me back to the mixtape. And I was like, why isn't he selling this? Like, where is this playlist? That set list was 4 hours long. I have sent it to so many people, and I'm like, look, y'all, just put this on and leave it alone. And people will call me back and they're like, yo, I felt like I was in the club. And I'm like, I know.
I don't know what it was.
I'm
What's the
just
name of
saying.
it? You remember the name of it? I don't know.
I would have to go back and find it.
I don't. So here's a couple things, right?
I actually had to put it to rest. I had to put it to rest.
So here's a couple things. So when I first kind of got back into doing the live from the living room, people were asking for the playlist, right? So I was like, all right, cool. So I did. So like for the first 2 weeks, I put a playlist up on Spotify. But I'm recording my sets. So all the sets are recorded. And then they also have the actual video because it's on Twitch. So I have that recorded. I've been meaning to put that up on YouTube and I haven't done it yet. And I'm just trying to figure out the legal ramifications and all that type of stuff. But I need to put them up on Spotify. I mean, not Spotify, SoundCloud. The reason why I want the mixes as opposed to the playlist is because the playlist is cool. Like you get these songs, but you don't get me.
But it's a feeling. I get it. All right, so
me.
put it up. I got SoundCloud.
So no, I have almost 2 months worth of mixes that need to go up.
Thanks. Thanks. Can't wait till you start putting them up tomorrow. That is so awesome.
So I'm gonna put them up. I'm gonna put them up. I'm doing some amazing stuff. But okay, off of me. How we talked about this offline, and like I said, I didn't want to waste a good conversation, so I wanted to bring it back. We're currently in a pandemic. I know for me, I have definitely told folks like, nah, I'm not showing up nowhere. Like that is just not happening. Like if you doing something virtual, you could book me and I have no problem DJing virtually. I'm not showing up to any clubs, any house parties, any weddings, none of that stuff. There's nothing you can do to make me feel comfortable to be out there like that around people because I don't know these people. I can't trust them. I don't know what your guests have been doing.
That's my same exact sentiment.
So, however, because of technology, it's fortunate enough I am able to still do business and do what I do. For you, it is far more of a personal craft at what you do. What are you doing to navigate or manage through this pandemic? Because you're still getting booked to do certain things. So what is it? How are you handling that? What are you doing?
I don't know. Everything is a day-to-day. Like I literally, like I said, I've been going up to the Westchester area. That is where I get my socials, but that's also where I've kind of retreated to shopping. Because everything here is different. Everything's so different. It's literally a daily adjustment. Mm-hmm. You might think of one place that you might have had this or might have had that, and it doesn't exist anymore. So it's very different. I can't give you one solid answer. No 2 days have been the same since I've returned from the public.
How do you...
In work, in person, like none of it. It's all different.
It's to me,
it's kind of disheartening. One day I broke down and started crying.
I can only imagine because it has to be daunting and overwhelming because you're so conditioned to moving a certain way and thinking a certain way. And then like before you realize you can't do what you used to do, it's usually after you've already made that decision and then you're sitting there like where's the store, or I can't get this, or this is my favorite person that I would go to get this, to pull this stuff. It's I don't know.
And it's funny that you would say that. I need to send her a text. Yeah, there's people. There are literally people that I know that just like out of nowhere lost their jobs.
I don't know what I would do without these turntables. I don't know what I would do if I wasn't able to continue to do this.
Well, the magic of your career is that you're able to provide music. Music is always a gift, and you will always be able to give that gift to people. I think the hardest part for me as a stylist, especially when it comes to dealing in the celebrity world, the craft has been emulated so much that so many people have become in the virtual world available, because there are a lot of stylists that exist via Instagram. But at the same time, everybody needs somebody, and then people kind of get caught up in this wave of I can dress myself. So then there becomes no necessity. Like you devalue. It's like the club owners, like you said. It devalues what that is. And so you have to hold on to what the craft is and how you can reinvent. You know, right now I'm working currently on 2 projects that are amazing, and I can't wait to share them. One is something that is a lifestyle product.
Okay.
And, you know, candles. So those will be coming soon because I'm big on fragrance. And I wanted to figure out how I could give my light to the world. And that's a way to give it without burning my own out.
Of course.
And the other is that I'm working on. Yeah, I'm saying that just to you. So cut that out. I'm not sharing that.
Okay. You can wait. We could talk a little bit after the interview. Don't bring up anything that you don't want.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll edit it out. I'll still edit it out, but you know.
The candles are fine. But yeah, that you know, I just realized you have to create ancillary income in order to get to where you want to be. I didn't realize it's 1:30. Clearly, I need to talk to you more often. We've been on the phone for an hour.
We have, yeah, bro. We don't talk enough, and it's so funny.
Even if it's just a text.
If it's just text. But what's so funny is that when Daryl and Amina were getting married, and I think we were going to the dinner party, the wedding dinner party that was on Lafayette at Pink Teacup.
Which is close.
And Daryl was like, "Yo, you gotta meet Wouri. Like y'all two will definitely connect. Like you guys need to meet." And I was like, all right, you know, if you say so.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
You know, whatever. But he was right though. He was right. Yes, he was like, you guys need to connect. And he was right.
Well, I only wanted to meet you because your first name is my middle name. Spelled differently, same pronunciation.
Oh shit, really? Did we talk about this before? No?
Maybe.
Wow, I did not know that. All right. A couple more things and we'll get out of here. And you don't have to use names. But what are some, like, give me like 1 or 2 of the most, I cannot believe this shit just happened, moments that you've had as a stylist. Like, and it could be something as like the worst.
I have one that I'll share. At the Oscars in 2018, one of my former assistants, God bless her soul, we were zipping up Andrew's dress, and the zipper broke. And we literally had like 30 minutes to get her to the stage. And I remember us running through the theater with this huge Zach Frozen dress. We get it to the team. They fix the zipper. Dress comes back. We're running back through. She gets in, fix the zipper. We get her to the stage. 30 seconds before she goes on, somebody bumps her and she spills tea all on her front of the dress. At that moment, I literally screamed backstage at the Oscars, "What the fuck?" With my hands up. And I just stepped up to the side. By the grace of God, the cameraman must have seen it. Because the way that they shot it, if you go back and watch that performance with her and Common, most of the shots are overhead and they come from behind and swoop around. I was like, they must have seen it. They actually seen the stain because the way they shot it.
Wow. And she went out there and did her thing like nothing ever happened.
Like a pro. It didn't even faze her. I was the one over there like, what is going on? Why is this happening? Hey. I remember calling Nisa like, "Auntie, just pray for me." Like the zipper is broke. The zipper broke. They spilled stuff on her. She gotta go on TV. Like that was a day.
Wow. I'm sure you've had, and again, please, you don't need to use names. If you don't care to use names, just whatever, because you know that's the type of show I have. I don't care. I'm sure you've worked with some clients that you were like, I will never work with this person again.
No.
No?
No, I'm very selective in the energy that I choose to work with.
Okay, so you never been
Now, we
like
may
placed
work
with
for a
somebody.
time period. Yeah, there may be a time period where, you know, we work together and we don't go back to each other, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a purveyor of nasty energy. So if I feel it and it just don't feel right to me, I'll say no. I won't take it.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good. I mean, I think I've gotten to that point in my career. Oh, I've definitely gotten to that point in my career now. I think because and even though yes, I do work to support my family, I'm not working.
Yeah, but we deserve the right to be selective.
Right. But I'm also in a place where I'm not financially, where I'm not DJing because I have to. Otherwise, like the lights and they're going to get cut off and we're going to get evicted. You know, that I'm past those days. So now I'm at a point where I can be really selective about what I will do and what I won't do. All right. So this show is called The Loop, right? And then there are two questions I ask every guest at the end of the show that are based or rooted in what it is that they do, you know, for a living. So the first one is a top 5. Who are your top 5 stylists of all time? Like your top 5 favorite stylists?
Corinne Rothfield, Patty Wilson, Misa Hilton, Grace Coddington, and me.
And and you, why not? Why not be in your top 5? So you ask me, I'm the best there is. If you ask me, so.
I was being gracious and put myself right.
Hey, I understand. I understand. A small bit of humbleness goes a long way. I understand. And the last one, it's kind of weird. It's going to be a weird question because it's called The Loop, right? So usually when I have like artists on here, you know, folks within the hip hop industry, it's always like, yo, name one artist that you can listen to on loop all day, every day. Name a song or song. Huh?
Alex Isley.
No. But I know that's not the question I'm asking you. That's not the that's not the question I'm asking you.
Who is on the loop.
No.
She is on the loop.
No. My question to you, and I said, because I said it's going to be a weird question. If you had one outfit that you can wear every day, all day, like if you had to pick an outfit, because you could only wear one outfit every day, all day for the rest of your life, what would that outfit be?
It would be a silver gray zip up Champion hoodie. It would be a white James Pierce size 10 t-shirt on cotton. I would wear silver gray sweats, and I would wear the original Jordan 1s, red, white, and black.
Wow. Okay.
Because I would have to be comfortable. I'd have to be comfortable. It literally has nothing to do with fashion. It's completely comfort, but stylish.
But you are color blocking, right? So you didn't just
there's
throw
a look,
away
there's
style.
a look to it. Yeah, there's a look to it.
I got you.
There's a look to it, but it would be that.
I got you. Okay. Well, Wouri, I want to thank you so much for your time. I want to thank you so much for your energy and your spirit, for being here. It's been a long time coming. Please let the people know where they can find you on social media.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. Great time. I am on Instagram at The Real Wouri Vice, TheRealWouriBice. And on Twitter, it's simply Wouri Vice, WOURIVICE. And those are the 2 social media platforms.
Dope. Thank you again. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been The Loop. I thank you so much for your time, your energy. I will check you guys next time. And always please remember to stay in the loop.